Hello YouTube people. Got another seed haul in, and these ones I'm super excited about because it's always cool to get an order in from the main admin, one of the main admins besides myself, in Heirloom Tomato Addicts Anonymous, and I'm talking about Jim Wyant. He has quite the list of Appalachian heirloom varieties, something of which I should not be able to grow here in my area, but I do. Anyhow, so without further ado, let's get into this. And the writing on these are super small, so I went through and I deciphered it so that we can all know the history behind these varieties, at least as much history as is possibly known. And these are all Appalachian heirlooms, and they're all going to be amazing next year. So first off, we have Goose Rock, and this is a lovely red variety. Jim says, and I know you're not going to be able to read that, it's a 75-day indeterminate regular leaf variety. Look at that red. From Kentucky Greg, and I'm going to assume that is a screen name in a tomato form. Says, I got the Goose Rock seeds from Michael Johnson in Nottingham, England. All he said about them was that his source, that he did not name, said that the variety was from the coal mining area of eastern Kentucky. I emailed Michael and received a reply. He said the source was a guy in Girdler, Kentucky. Although I live in Kentucky, I had never heard of it. I looked it up, and it is indeed in the eastern Kentucky area. Michael said he met this guy on a tomato forum, and the guy seemed to be very eccentric and reclusive. He lives with his elderly father. Michael said he is a lurker on a tomato forum and very seldom posts or comments. For some reason Michael did not know, he took a liking to Michael, and they have done several trades. He said the guy is really into the giant varieties and somehow manages to get seeds from some of the giant grower pros. So this is Goose Rock, and it is an Appalachian heirloom, and I think that that is going to be an amazing tomato. Next up is one that I'm certain, if any of you are familiar with Baker Creek Seeds, or if you watch Roots and Refuge Farm here on YouTube, you have heard Jess from Roots and Refuge mention this variety in some of her videos, and I specifically remember her mentioning it while they were still in Arkansas. And I don't know if she grows it now or not, because honestly I did not. I'm a subscriber, but I don't keep up with it. I don't watch a whole lot of her videos anymore. And Baker Creek offers these for sale. However, I'm choosing to get mine from Jim. And these are Dr. Wyant's Yellow. And Dr. Wyant's Yellow, believe it or not, is an old Appalachian heirloom. This heirloom was introduced to Seed Savers Exchange by the late Dr. John Wyant, who at one time owned the Cole Brothers Circus and used the manure of elephants to fertilize his heritage gardens. This 1-pound fruit is solid and smooth. The color is a glowing tangerine orange that always stands out in the kitchen or off the vine. One of the best heirloom orange types for market, with its smooth texture and tropical sweet taste. Heavy yields, undoubtedly one of the best tasting yellow tomatoes to be found. Dr. Wyant actually called it hot yellow, but after his passing and prior to its commercial release, it was renamed in his honor to Dr. Wyant's Yellow. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty cool. And I had no idea. Baker Creek doesn't give you that much of the history of it. And then moving on, now I've heard somewhere that everybody's heard of a Cherokee Purple. However, the true history of a Cherokee Purple has never been established. So while it might be called Cherokee Purple, nobody really knows for certain if it came from the Cherokee Nation or not. Excuse me, I'm getting a drink there. I heard somewhere that this variety, which does have Cherokee in the name, there's lots of different tomatoes that have Cherokee in their name, and none of them can actually be traced back to the Cherokee Nation. However, this one can be, and I've heard that this is the only one with Cherokee in its name that can be traced back to the Cherokee Nation, and that is Big Springs Cherokee. This is a 90-day indeterminate, and it doesn't say if it's a regular leaf. I'm going to assume that it is. It's a 90-day indeterminate. It's from Caldwell County, Kentucky. It's a very old yellow variety grown long before 1930 by the Roundtree family, who also grew it in Black Hawk area. Now, I don't know if that's the Black Hawk area or if it's, I don't know. Tomato is of Cherokee origin, and Jim Wyant obtained these seeds from Chris Hubbard. So that is a very old tomato. Moving along here. And Jim sells his packs of seeds. They are $3 each, 2 for $5. And he charges you $1 shipping. So, and if you want to get a hold of him, join Heirloom Tomato Addicts Anonymous and tag him. He does not have a website. He will PM you a list, and you pick from the list. If you have any questions, he can direct you to his Facebook page where he does post all of these varieties. I will be making some more orders from him. I'm thinking next year I might just do, I think it might be kind of cool. I was going to do an Americana garden this year, and I might not, I didn't do it, but next year I might just do, I think it would be cool to do an old Appalachian heirloom garden. And so I'm going to make some more orders from Jim for sure. Moving on here. Minnie's Pinstripe. It's a 75-day indeterminate. Look at that. So pretty. One of those big bicolors that I love. 75-day indeterminate regular leaf. An heirloom from Kentucky. The seed originally came from an older lady in Bowling Green, Kentucky, who had been growing it for many years. They are of a beefsteak size up to 2 pounds, although most will be in the 12 to 18 ounce range. They are yellow-orange. They have red stripes that radiate out at the blossom end, and the shoulders are yellow. The interior flesh is marbled red and yellow, and it has few seeds. It's mild but tangy, and it has a real tomato flavor. Can't wait to meet Minnie's Pinstripe. And then we're moving on from that to Turkey Creek. Big old pink slicer Turkey Creek. That is an 80-day indeterminate regular leaf. Huge 2.5 pound pink slicer. Love it. From Knox County, Kentucky. Gillenwater family. The last family member passed away in 1963. There are no relatives left. Was grown in the Hahn and Hubbard families since then. Jim Wyant obtained the seeds from Chris Hubbard in 2018. And moving on from there, we have Rawlins. Now, there is a variety out there called Rawlings. Different variety. This is Rawlins. This is an 80-day indeterminate regular leaf. Jim Wyant's original seeds were from Frank Barnett. Mr. Barnett said the tomato was from the Johns Creek area of Pike County, Kentucky. It's a sweet tomato. It's meaty, and it's a good balance of flavor. Look at that bicolor beauty. Yeah. This one, the name caught my attention, and then learning why it had that name, it's really cool. I love learning how these got their names. And this is a big old yellow. And this is called Trees Bottom Yellow. It's an 85-day indeterminate potato leaf. It's an old West Virginia heirloom. Pale yellow, almost white flesh with faint pink blushing throughout the fruits when they're ripe. Some faint green on the shoulders. These grow 1 to 1.5 pounds. Flavor is excellent, sweet with an almost melon-like quality. History per Randy Sign of West Virginia. A.T. or Tom, goes by Tom Edwards, obtained the seeds from the mother of one of his pupils in Luray, Virginia in the early 1960s. It is unknown how long she had been growing this variety or what the name actually was. Randy named it Trees Bottom Yellow because Mr. Tom Edwards' garden was located in an area called Trees Bottom, which is adjacent to the Potomac River. So that is why it is Trees Bottom Yellow. And then Jim sent me a freebie, which I love freebies. And this just fits in with, I could put this in my Americana garden, or I could put this in an Appalachian heirloom garden. Either way, this is just fantastic. And this is called Hopkins Revolutionary. It's an 80-day, indeterminate regular leaf. These are 1 to 1.5 deep yellow-orange fruits, thick, meaty, sweet, earthy taste. Hopkins family heirloom. Namesake for Hopkins County, Steubenville, Kentucky. Jim obtained these seeds from Chris Hubbard. And Chris Hubbard, if you don't know, does a lot of curating from the indigenous nations. And yeah, he does a lot of good work. And last but never least, this is one I'm super excited to try. And the reason being is because I'm of Irish descent. So this is Irish Pink. It's an 80-day indeterminate potato leaf. Pink, beautiful beefsteak fruits with slightly ruffled shoulders. They grow into the 6 to 8 ounce range. First fruit matured very early for Jim in the hot 2015 summer. Excellent balanced tomato flavor. Heirloom variety from Tom Edwards' family. Tom Edwards' A.T. goes by Tom Edwards. I spoke about him in a prior variety here. Tom Edwards got this variety when he worked a summer job for a plumber as a teenager. This tomato is of Irish descent, and it came from the grandfather of the family he worked for. Tom was in his late 60s in 2010, so it was first offered in Seed Saver's 2010 yearbook by Randy Sign of Martinsburg, West Virginia. The seeds were originally from A.T. Tom Edwards. So these are just a few of what Jim has to offer. And honestly, his seeds have never not grown for me. And I bought seeds from him, and they sat for a couple of years, and I planted them, and I still got almost 100% germination rate. So I cannot recommend buying tomato seeds from Jim enough. I really just can't. And he's a guy, he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have him as an admin in my group. He knows his stuff, period. That's why he's called Tomato Jim. Anyhow, so shout out to Jim. Join Heirloom Tomato Addicts Anonymous. I'll put a link down in the description. And yeah, get yourself some rare Appalachian true heirloom varieties to try. These newer ones that are being created, they're great, but they're open pollinated technically. They're not heirloom. These varieties that I just shared with you, these are true heirloom varieties. And if you are into growing tomatoes for the same reason that I am, because you love the stories behind these old varieties and you want to keep them going, you need to get a hold of Jim. So with that, give me a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, leave me a comment down below, and thanks for watching.